Okay, let's pray. Dear God, we thank you that today we come again to study about the pastoral ministry. We know that some of us will be called to be a pastor, and a lot will be called to be other position to support the work of the pastor in your church. So we all need to learn to know what we should do and what is our responsibility. We know that we cannot do anything by ourselves, but by your grace alone. Help us to learn something and to trust in you and to do our best. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, tonight we on chapter 6. Now, chapter 6, we will concentrate mainly about pastor ministry in general. And we can discuss aloud the position, the responsibility, the burden in general. In many other weeks, we talk specific about the pastor role, like you perform wedding, you perform the Lord's Supper, you perform the baptism, and many other roles that you have to do. But tonight we're going to concentrate more about you and how big is your responsibility. I put some statistic here, some number here. The intention not to scare you, but this is the real thing that's going on for the last maybe 50, 70, or 100 years. So the number don't change much. It's still the same thing. Now, the first number is 90% of the full-time pastor report that they work 55 to 70 hours per week. And this is not a joke because all the pastor is on call. People sick, people have problems, they call any time of the day, of the night. And the pastor always have to be there to answer them or visit them. I remember one time I have to visit someone at 2 o'clock in the morning because they're going to kill one another. I mean, wife and husband. And sometime at midnight or 1 o'clock, people call me because they have bad dream. And they saw vision of something. They want to share to me about the vision at the middle of the night. So all kind of things can happen. So now the first thing that we most of us have to deal with is overwork. You have to overwork most of the time. So now how you handle this 55 to 75 hours per week. And more than half of the pastors feel that they cannot take it. It's too much. Well, nobody can take it. Sometimes it's okay, but not every week, every month, every year, your whole life. But this is reality. It's a lot of responsibility. Now, the second number, 70% of pastors feel grossly underpaid. Mean that even they love God, they love the people, but they know that the pay that the church gives the pastor is not enough. 70% of them feel that what they get from the church not enough to survive. So that's a big problem. I don't know, some people always think that pastors are supposed to be poor. That's why they pay the pastor not enough. Now, 90% we feel that they're not fully equipped, mean that they don't have enough knowledge or ability to cope with all the problem of the people and the demand of the people. You know that most pastors will have some kind of training. Some have college, some have seminary. Many years of learning and training, but most of them still feel that in the real thing, they are still not ready because they have new problem all the time, new thing to deal with all the time. It's not the same thing. So even you learn so much your whole life, you still feel that you're not ready. So this is 90% feel that way. We are not adequate, trained, or equipped to deal with all kind of problems. New problems happen all the time. So now you see the three numbers that I present to you. 90% feel that they overwork. 70% feel that they underpaid. And 90% feel that they're not fully equipped or trained. And now this is this college, a very, very worry number. 70% of pastors constantly fight depression. 50% of pastors feel discouraged that they will leave the ministry if they could. Now you see that 50% of the pastors want to quit and 70% are depressed. Wow, this is a serious number. Why? Well, they always say that the pastor job is the most lonely job because people can ask you for help, but where you get help? A lot of time you keep all the problem to yourself. The best you can do is go to God, but nobody else can help you. So now this is something that we need to try to find a way. If not, most pastors cannot survive, cannot do their job. Well, at the end of the study, I will offer you some way out that we can do something to improve our situation as pastor or a servant of God. Now, this is the number. About half of 1,100 or so pastors who leave ministry each month. This is not a joke. In America, every month, 1,700 pastors quit ministry, leave the church. This is a big number in America alone. So now, how can you find replacement? Well, as long as we still have seminary, we produce new and new more people. So far, we can keep up with part of it, but we cannot keep up with 1,700 every month. We can fill up maybe just half of it now with young new pastor. But how about the big gap? Oh, it's a big gap. Every month you need one more pastor, 1,000 more. A gap gets bigger because a lot of churches don't have pastor. How can you have one since so many quitting every month? Now talk about pastor family. Most pastor family are negatively impacted, mean that the wife, the children suffer a lot too. People complain, people criticize, people take advantage of, and a lot of things to their family, to the wife, to the children. This is why some will say that later on, most of pastor children in America quit church when they grew up. I met a lot of pastor kids who don't go to church anymore, and that's sad. Now, %70 of pastors in America say that they don't have any close friends. And 40% of them report that they have big problem with some of their leaders. So it means that they have very difficulty. In church, most pastors don't have friends or close friends. And they have problem with maybe almost half of the leader in church. What that means? It means that some leader don't agree with what he doing or preaching or teaching. It's always. And that is not a very good sign for the situation. 50% of the minister starting out with will not last 5 years. This is another number that everyone who start in 5 years, at least 50% of them will quit. Now they say that only 1 in 10 means that only 10% of pastors will live until retirement. So what that mean? Only 10% of you will survive until you retire as a pastor. 90% will quit before that time. Now this is a serious number that I don't intend to scare you, but this is reality. How we change it, how we do something better. Not all bad. I don't mean that even you quit, it means that it is the end of the world. God might call you to do something else. And if you still function, you still serving God, I think it's still okay. Not all of us going to be pastor forever, but we can serve God forever. But as a pastor, I feel sorry for the situation that's going on. I think that the church needs to see the number and we need to try to change this situation. And they say that every year, 4,000 churches close door. I mean 7,000 and 4 new will start, but 4,000 close. This means all kind of churches, small, big. 7,000 churches in America close every year, mean that they're out of business. Maybe some 4,000 new will start with a small group anywhere, but you see the number. Every year you have 3,000 less churches. But still, most of the churches don't have pastor too. We need to deal with that. Why? We have less churches, but we still don't have enough pastor to fill up the churches. This is on the number that I want to share with you first. Okay, this is something that I want to come back to you. You might get some number. We can talk for some of them to deal with some of them with your idea, your thinking that this is true, or what is your own experience, how you feel. It surprised you with all this number? And what can we do to help to change the situation? You ever believe all this number?
No, never thought that so much decline. No, only thought that yes, people less believe in God. I've been thinking about a lot of time is the more people, the more modern people are, the less they believe in God.
Well, that might be one of the problem. Yes, we have less believer, we have less Christian all over the world every year, less and less.
The more we have a knowledge, the more we less believe in God. Knowledge of the word, I mean.
Okay, that in general is about the whole church, about the number of people who go to church, but it don't address the pastor problem.
No.
Whatever number you have, you still need a shepherd. the pastor will take care of the church to take care of them. Yeah, Nathan.
Again, so so knowing that based on about 2 weeks ago, something that you say that once we are ordained, it would be hard to quit as a minister, and and you said based on the research, a lot of people quit. How do they feel? How do you reconcile with that the problem? And people that quit, do they feel like, well, I don't want to, but I have to quit, or they just like, maybe it's not my calling?
I cannot answer for them, but I feel sorry for them. I know that a lot of them are my friend. I know their heart. They love God. They love the people. They fully want to give everything to God. But the burden from the church, the wives, the children, make them quit. Because if they don't quit, they will lose their family. They will lose their wife or their children. A lot of situations is that way. Because the wife, the children cannot take it anymore. If you want to take the church, your wife, your children leave you. A lot of them come to that point. Yeah, Hannah?
Do they quit because they can't relate to their congregation? Could there be a reason where they can't relate? No matter what they do, their congregation is not growing?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. Some of the main problem we found out is the disagreement between pastor and leadership. The pastor might have some idea about how to guide the church, lead the church, but some of the leaders don't agree with. And that will start big problem. When the leadership not in agreement, you cannot go too long. And the burden will keep building up after a few years. And the final straw, most of the time, is the family, the wife, the kid. Push the pastor to the crib, to the edge. So you know now what the symptom. It starts with disagreement with other leadership in the church. Most of the time.
I think a lot of time probably because of disagreement with the leader, and then feel like unappreciated. Not only unappreciated, it's unpaid, it's underpaid, and then on top of that, to see wife and children being suffer because of his faith.
Mm.
And it's not easy to fix this kind of circumstances because they are people business.
Yeah, a lot of time it's so difficult. I have seen so many situations.
And the pastor already work 50, 70 hours already. They cannot just go get another part-time job.
Mm. Yeah, most of them already overworked, cannot get another job. So you see,
I think,
yeah.
Yeah, I think one other problem is the most pastor, they take a lot of time from the family. So the family need to, do a lot of things but the pastor cannot because he has to pastor the church and don't have time for the family. You can see that is one of the problem inside.
Yeah, that reality. I don't know we can solve this problem because when you step into ministry, you already know that you need to sacrifice a lot. And the pastor family have to be very uniquely different from the rest of the church. Yeah, a lot of people think that a pastor family should be one of them. Why the pastor family need to suffer so much or sacrifice so much? Do you think that part of the packet of leadership of pastoring?
Well, I think the mentality of the member thinking that pastor know God and supposed to have the most blessed, and then they said, "Oh, if you have the most blessed, that means you don't really need a human human help. Figure it out. You're supposed to know this kind of thing." I think that's kind of mentality. And
John, I think, the problem is similar to, or maybe we can go back to the story of the starving baker. He baked all those things to feed people, but he don't even have time to feed himself, and that also causes problem. Like his family, he don't have time for them at all.
Well, Kamsai, you have the real story. They say that the carpenter family live in the broken home, live in the house that all rotten away, the carpenter house. And the cook family don't have good food to eat. The tailor don't make clothes for their family, or they have it all clothes. And a little story, my mechanic member drive all the broken car and his family too. Die somewhere all the time. So what that mean? It become our responsibility, our job to take care of other people. But we overlook our own family, our own need. So the key might be how you divide your time. You need to make time for your family. You don't have more time. You need to save some time for them too. You ever heard when you say you need vacation, your members say, again?
Really don't have a vacation from the church, Ajahn. How many years I've been working? I think one time, 2003, I went to Thailand for 3 weeks. That's it.
I think a lot of time that member have a wrong impression about the pastor, because pastor is supposed to be preaching the joy, hope, and blessing, and unconditional love, and all of these things, which is true. And they feel that the pastor is supposed to be the source of wealth and help. They didn't realize that pastor itself that do need help too.
As a pastor, can you say if one of the church member asks you to do something, can you delegate the word to one of the leaders? Say, hey, this person have special training on this. He could go, and then can the pastor say no?
it's difficult in many ways. First, the people who come to you don't trust other people. And a lot of time you cannot share their problem with other people too.
Oh.
Because this is private and this is confidential. Unless he or she allow you to share, you cannot share. So in order to delegate help to other people, the people who have need to consent, approve, agree with. But a lot of time they don't.
So how are we fix it?
Well, if I have all the good questions, I can help a lot of my students. But a lot of time, it's not that easy. The problem will keep building up for many years.
So only God can fix it?
Well, I believe God tried to fix it too, but I think everyone need to cooperate with God. I mean that God want to save the pastor, but look like the pastor don't allow God to save them. And the church too, don't agree with God, don't work with God to save the pastor.
So I think the problem is for the leader and the pastor, they not agree each other because they don't listen to God. They have their own way. They wasn't rely with God. They rely on themselves.
Well, for example, I heard a lot of argument between the pastor and the church leader. A lot of pastors come from seminary with all the knowledge of the Bible, stand firm that this is what the Bible says, this is what God says. But a lot of leaders said, this is our culture, this is how we do it. Now, who right, who wrong? I think both of them are right, but they need to find a way that they can work together. Yeah. What's your question, Hannah?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just blow my nose.
Okay. So you see,
Find a common ground, right, John?
yes, the young pastor right too, and the old leader also right, but they need to find some way to work together.
Ajahn,
Yes.
I don't know why, but back in 2005, when I do some mission for the Northwest Convention in our area, and each month I have to fill a report back to them how much time I spend with my family, relationship, how many time I go see people, like to teach them, and how my spiritual, financially, and physically, emotionally, why I have to report all that each month to the Northwest Convention? Is because to help me or to do what? I didn't ask them, but I have to do it.
Well, the goal is so they can know your situations and they can support you. But in reality, it's just like work report that in order to get your salary, you need to tell them you reach the quota or not. If you don't reach the quota, now they will call you in and say, done. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So it become a tool that they use to check your quota. You get what I try to tell you, Kamsai?
No, but I think I use what I learned from that, and I think that is also helped me because I balance my time, even my physical, emotional, spend time with God, spend time with family, and I need to be careful about my financial situation, all those things. Because in order to serve the Lord better, they want you to be physically fit, mental, and all those emotional too. That's what I think.
Yes, yes, that's the goal. That is the ideal goal that they have. But a lot of young missionary not survive that more than a few years. Why? You know that a lot of them just to fill the report each month already killing them.
I know sometimes, some months you don't have much to fill in because we don't want to tell something that is not true.
Mm-hmm. So this is why they call self-report. Okay, Nathan.
อาจารย์ so all the missionaries that work as a missionary do they have to report all those stuff or the daily routine daily schedule
If they work for the organization. But if you work privately, you raise fund yourself, you just do once a month letter to report to your sponsor. But if you work for the convention, you have a big report every month. That like Kamsai say, many pages of what you do each day, how many hours you pray, how many hours you go out visiting or detail. They keep your record in detail that you need to report to them. So this is why a lot of missionaries want to go privately. Don't need to report to anyone. Just once a month, write some good thing letter to all the sponsor. But what the difference between support by the convention, organization, and private? Private, you have all the freedom. You don't need to worry. Anyone will kick you out. Anyone will evaluate you every month, every year. Only God can tell you to stop and your sponsor. But the privately is unreliable. Mean the people who support you this year or this month might not do it next month or next year. And you have to raise fund all the time. New people all the time because the old one might not support you anymore. Things can happen.
And the organization, they probably have some kind of rule for them to do, allow them to do or not allow them to do, right?
Oh yeah, if you go represent organization, convention, they have a big thing for you to follow. And you need to report to your field leader, to the national convention of report. And they have certain quota for you to do each month. Okay, if I put you as a pastor of a church, how long you think you're going to survive?
I don't know, Ajahn. I think being pastor is so difficult. I think that's why I never thought to be pastor, because I figure that one, I have to be even though I might not be as good as a member, but I have to look good and look not only look good, look better in terms of my faith, in terms of my well-being at home, and all kind of behavior that have to be extraordinarily higher than everybody else, because all the eye are watching the pastor, because he or she is supposed to be the role model and the source of wealth from God in whatever way that might be.
And now, Chris, you touched the most important.
No more for
thing.
you. Sorry.
You know that the worst enemy of our pastor is himself.
Because he think of him to have to be better.
Everything. The pastor is not forgive himself. The pastor put himself in order, very high standard. The pastor put himself with all expectation.
Well, don't that a member expect that? Because he's a representative of God. He's a representative supposed to be Christ-like.
Yes, they
That
expect
is
that.
his image supposed to be.
Yes, that's what they expect. But you need to live in reality.
I think a pastor will be called by God, and in order to survive only from God.
Believe me, the 10% of the pastor that survive until retirement is by the grace of God. Without that, I believe that 100% cannot survive. You
That's a
remember?
really choose.
That's the fact. When Elijah told God, God, I want to die because everyone already dead. I'm the only one survive who's serving you. God said, no, 7,000 more. Elijah don't believe it. Really? Anyone survive that long, that many? God say, I keep them. I protect them. 7,000 of them who never bow down to other God, who are still faithful to me. 7,000 of them that I keep them. I protect them for myself. So you see that it's by the grace of God that some survive and last that long. By their own strength, I believe that nobody can survive. Now you know the secret.
Watch out.
How could you be one of those?
Wait.
I don't think that's a God chosen. It's not our chosen, Ajahn.
Don't you be one of them?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we can. Doesn't mean that we can be, because it's up to God whether or not He chose us or not. He's a sovereign, right, God, and He do as He please. How can we have that influence?
I believe we can try.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can try. Just like 80-90% of those people, they do try.
But one thing I want to be clear that even you're not in one of the selected one, you still can serve God anywhere, anytime, even not being a pastor. So I don't want you to feel that I failed. I lost my calling. No. We just have different call and we can serve God anywhere, anytime, our whole life. in different position, in different calling.
Yes, Ajahn, I
Yeah.
think you say what I like to say. And I know that even we are not pastoring a church, but we have plenty of work to do to serve Him.
Yes. And you know that a lot of pastors who quit, they can be a big support to the pastor that's still surviving. Because they know the situation, they know a lot.
I feel like sometimes even you're not pastoring the church, you do mission outside, even more blessing, because maybe that is the right calling or for some reason.
Yes, we all have different calling. So some of you are going to be pastor, but most of you not going to be. You're going to do something else. But yes, Nathan.
Ajahn, I'm thinking the back about a year, 2 years ago, we took the personality test based on the average. What kind of personality that lasts longer as a pastor, serving pastor?
Well, it depends. If you ask me from human perspective, there is some quality that's going to keep you last. But if you ask from God perspective, it's a different story. Which one you want to hear first?
I am perfectionist. I think a perfectionist people will not last long because they put too much pressure on themselves.
You know what, Nathan? I was one of the perfectionists. I say I was. So God changed me. In the sense that it not mean I'm completely changed to be someone who not perfectionist, but I become a new person that can get along, can live with, can adjust. But inside me, I still feel that I'm a perfectionist. But as a pastor, you cannot survive. All the people messy everywhere all the time.
Ajahn, that's why when I go out, I'm different. And my father will come home to say, yes, outside you're so different. And you come home, you're so complicated. I said, well, I have to change. I have to be different.
Well, you see that not everyone born to be a good pastor, but we train. And God train us, make us, so He can use us. You know that for myself, if not by the grace of God, I don't think I last for a year as a pastor. But I already been a pastor for 42 years and counting.
How do we know that God calling before we actually go into it and then find out that God is not calling me to do this kind of thing?
Well, we will not be 100% sure until you step out and try it. The calling will make you think and will come to you from time to time that what God wants you to do something or to be a pastor. And you will never be sure until you try it out. And you will see clearer, or you will be confirmed by God. This is your calling.
Ajahn,
Yes.
the talent and the passion that we have Is it mean that God calling us for to fulfill that duty? Because even we so tired, don't want to do it, want to quit, but the next day we feel like you're back to have that energy to do it again.
Some people use calling and talent or gift the same way. In psychological terms, they always interchangeable. Gift, calling, talent. But for Bible perspective, it's not exactly the same thing. Why in general, in psychological terms, they say it's the same. If you have the calling, if you have the gift, if you have the talent, it goes hand in hand. But in biblical perspective, we find out that it's not necessarily that way. So which comes first, calling, talent, or gift?
What about the passion?
Yeah, passion is something that they compare to gift, or in general terms, that some call it a calling. It's like you have many teachers. A lot of teachers work for money, for salary, and they don't care much about anything. They get paid. They come to teach every day. But you met some teacher who have the passion. They not work for money, but because of that passion to be a good teacher. And you can feel it, you can see it. What the teacher who work for money and work because of his passion as a teacher.
I think
Yeah.
I think in modern Christian, we to be pastor, to be God's servant, it's not easy task. When we look at all the apostles, they all go through suffering for the work of God. None of them really come out as a rich in terms of materialism, in terms of human success. They all suffer in the physical side. And a lot of times I think that to serve God is like a living sacrifice. And to serve God is when we think about, look at Samuel, right? He gone through so bad. People try to kill him. And he is constantly running. Look at Paul, he constantly running. Try to do the God work, and yes, people try to harm him at the same time.
Okay, I will ask you to look at a situation. Peter asked Jesus. When a young man asked Jesus, I want to follow you. I want to be your disciple. Jesus said that a bird have a nest, a frog have a home, but the Son of God have nowhere to stay, to put his head. So it's like no hope. But later on, Peter asked Jesus, Lord, we sacrifice everything to follow you. What will we get? Peter really asked Jesus on that. You know what Jesus answered Peter and his disciple? Peter said that sacrifice brother, sister, family, home to follow you. What will we get? Jesus answered that anyone who sacrifice anything for me in this world, you will get back 100 times. And the next life, you have eternal life. That two promises that Jesus told Peter. Anyone who follow me, to serve me, who sacrifice his family, his brother, sister, will get back 100 times in this life. And the next life, they will get eternal life. How you understand that? 100 times in this life.
I think Jesus talk about internal joy, non-materialism. Because those
He talk about two situations. First, in this life. And second, he say in the future life.
well, even in this life, they can have eternal hope and joy, because none of those apostles go to the suffering sadly. They are in jail singing. They are in a place of being stoned, filled with joy and happiness, even though they might not have all the materialism, because the Holy Spirit with them.
Well, I will tell you that from history, those people get back more than 100 times, mean that they have new family. The whole family of God all over the world is their family. In the past, they might have one brother, one sister. Now they have hundreds of thousands of brothers, sisters who love them, care for them. And they're not lack of anything. They have home anywhere they go. They have home to stay. They have food to eat. They don't lack of anything because wherever they go, they have family to provide for them in this world. So now you see that what Jesus promises also material, physically, because Paul have thousands of family all over the world. And they provide for him wherever he go. They have house for him to stay. They have food for him to eat. And they send him out all over the world. That's his family. So don't you think that God can provide in this world too? You never lack of anything. Yes, we suffer for God.
But Paul and us are different, Ajahn. Paul, he have ability, and
Lord, Lang,
the Spirit is with him that be able to even perform the miracle.
believe me, if you serve God wherever you go, family of God will welcome you, provide for you, take care of you. So this is the fact. I have experienced that wherever I go, any country.
Why we have a statistic that you're talking about then?
Well,
That's very true.
that also true in the local church that the pastor stay. That you see that I see the situation that if the pastor will work out the differences with the leadership or the member, I think things can be better. But in many situations, people just don't want to work out. They just want to win.
It could be two sides, pastor and the leader, a church elder. Because church elder want pastor to do certain things certain way, just like a grandfather that owned the house, and then the grandfather want the son or the grandson to do exactly what he wants because he owned it.
So how you think, can we work together?
That depends on the people, Ajahn. Some leader you said doesn't want to work together. They just wanted to be, they wanted to be the lead. They wanted to be the one. If they don't get to be the lead, and they're not gonna be to be part of the things like that. That's not gonna work, right? And we have to be one unit. We're supposed to be working as a team, no matter what situation is. That we should come into any situation. We can come into the agreement on somehow and to get to get things going. Like if the leader said no, I don't want to do. I don't want to be leader. I don't like they like picking the women's leader, all the leader that we think is really a spiritual, and they deny they don't want to be part of it. What does that mean? They don't want to be the name in to be position of being a leader and all that stuff. So so that comes to like we have to use whatever that remaining that are willing to do the work.
I think pastor and leader relationship is just like a husband and wife. They need to know the chain of command. The elder need to realize that the pastor is supposed to be is the head of the church. I mean, represent God, and he deserves the respect and follow his lead instead of other way around. Because the pastor cannot lead if he is not being leader. Doesn't give him the authority and respect as a leader. I think that a lot of times that the elder need to come to the point that if they want the pastor to be succeed, they need to respect his decision.
I can say something. Inside the church, doesn't matter what position we are, we need to be humble ourselves.
Yes, I agree with you. Each situation is unique. There is no one solution. You need to work out a new solution each time with your own situation. And by the grace of God, when you never give up. I can tell you that in my 40-some year as pastor, I went through a lot. The church went through a lot too. And we thank God we're still here. It's by the grace of God. Yes, Nathan.
So Ajahn, based on your experience, had anybody try to kick you out?
Oh, I believe so. I believe so. Many coup, underground, above ground, rebellions, all happened in the 42 years. But I say by the grace of God. Yeah, Nathan.
I think actually overall, I think it's good. That's why we when elect elders, it's good to elect the ones that know Bible, that are godly person, instead of just elect somebody that wealthy, smart, well respected among community. Those doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a good choice, but I found that the one who know the Bible a lot can cause a lot of problem too. If he or she the hard head and don't compromise with any other belief.
Agree with Ajahn. Yeah.
No Bible is not enough. Have to let the Bible sing on their heart. That's good enough.
Well, in the end of the day, it's still God who be glorified. We are serving God, not ourselves.
I think a lot of time the church member, they expect the pastor to do everything and to know everything, instead of we go to serve, but we go to be served, and that also one of the problems.
Yeah, that feeling is always there. Okay, I will give you some break and we'll come back to continue the second part of the pastor ministry. Okay, take about 10-minute break. Okay, I hope you see the screen. Now, on the second part of this chapter, we talk about how to work with hurting people, people who are hurt. And in the same time, the people that you work with will have all kind of problems. How you help them. And a lot of times you get hurt in the same time. And now this is some advice that when you help your people who are hurt, physically, emotionally, spiritually, don't just say that, well, everyone have problem, because that's too generalization. Just say that we understand you and your problem is unique. Try to be friend with him and to be personal, mean that don't just say that, oh, everyone have problem, don't worry. They already worry. Some of them sick, some of them have family problem. So try to understand them and try to empathize them. And they can feel that you care or not. Number two, advice is be prayerful, mean that pray before you go, pray while you're there, and pray after you talk with them. All the time, put them in God's hand and try to support them by your prayer. And not stop there until they have some help from God in some way. Number three, advice is be practical, mean that if they don't have food, find them some food. If they need some advice, give them. And if they need certain help, show up. Mean the practical sense mean that a lot of time you just say that, oh, I pray for you and done. But a lot of time you need to be there and you need to really offer some kind of help in tangible way, in the physical way. So do something in the practical way too. Number four, proactive. Proactive means that don't wait until they ask. If you see the need, offer. And if you can do something for them, offer. That means proactive. And sometimes the help can go faster and the problem can be solved better because you take the action right away. When you see that you can do it or the church can do it, do it. So this we call proactive. Number five, be persistent. Mean that you never give up, you never stop. The person might need more help and might not want to change or might doesn't want to do much. So you have to keep up with them that what else you can do, what else you can help. But there's a limit. How far you should go, how much you should get involved. So have to be careful. You know your limit too. And you know the line, you cannot cross it, a certain thing. But don't give up, keep doing. Be positive, mean that always have hope. You cannot help all of them, but God can do everything. So hope in God and give the people hope too, that God can help. So that is sick advice that you as a pastor or church leader should do with your people. When they face problem, you try to help them, or we know or some guideline that you should do. And here some more that thing that you should not say. And this is very serious. A lot of time people have problem, you start preaching to them. I told you, or that God tried to teach you something. People don't want to hear this. It's true or not, we don't know. But it's like you put the salt onto the wound. They already hurt. They want your support, not for you to make them hurt even more. And some leaders say that this is the time to show them, to teach them. Well, it's not your job. God will teach them, but you are the brother, sister to support them. You are not the one who's going to hurt them more. Well, this is something you should not say. They better off that way, or God try to teach you something. Or even say that this is something that some Americans say. You may have lost a child, but at least you still have another. People don't want to hear that. Don't tell them that you still have a few more left. And this is something, it might be different in our culture, what you should not say and what you should say. But for American, you should not go to the funeral and try to investigate the family that why their loved one commits suicide or die. It's not your job. It's not a good thing to say that or ask that. And another no-no is don't say that I know how you feel. A lot of people don't know that unless you suffer the same thing. But a lot of time we just try to be polite that I know how you feel, but in fact they don't. Unless you suffer the same thing before, that you can say that. This is not just feeling, but it's hurting. People who in that same shoe only can feel it. And some other attitude or some thing that you should not do or should avoid. And this is some guideline in American culture that you should not say, should not do. God have something better planned. Christians should never be depressed. The Lord won't give us more than we can handle. In fact, this is all, a lot of them are Bible. But they say it's not the appropriate time to say now because they're hurting. So you can say some of these words later on when they ask you advice. But don't offer all these things while the wound still fresh, the hurt still very strong. And a lot of things that you think is very common, very normal, very biblical, but it's not the right time to say certain things. So this is from American perspective. I know that in our culture, sometimes it's different, but still they advise that be careful because the people who hurt might hurt even more. So this is not a time to hurt them, but to help them feel less. And what to say? I am so sorry. I love you. And really appreciate him or something. They say that in American culture, Christian will say just a good thing, not bad thing. On the positive side, not negative side. And this is something that you can say. You see, not a lot. Now, this is a good advice from Christian perspective. When people hurt, they just want you to be there, but they don't want you to say anything much. You remember Job's friend? The first 7 days they come to sit with Job. That is the best thing. They suffer with Job. They don't say even a word. But when they start open their mouth, now problem. When they start open their mouth, they criticize Job. And Job cannot take that. So be careful. You love your friend, you love to help them, they are hurt. A lot of time, just be there and without saying much. It's better than say a lot. And they always said the good thing to do with when you have people who hurt, go to see them, listen to them, love them, and cry with them if you have to. It's just your presence means so much than what you try to say or try to teach them. Pray with them and help them whatever you think they need, food, finance, chore, or thing that you can do for them at that situation. And another thing, don't stay on day or night. Sometimes they need time for themselves or with their loved one or family. But I know our culture that sometimes we stay with them several days. Well, it depends. If they need you and you can offer them help, I know that many of our friends in our culture will stay with us for 5 days or 7 days to keep us comfort or to keep us company. And that culturally, it's good. But in American culture, it's different. Unless they are close family. But for outsider, it just show up, say a few words, offer something, and leave. That in American culture. Let's see. And now they sum up some more advice that what you should do, what you should not do. Do recognize there are things you may not know about the situation. We don't know everything. We just know something, but be careful. Find the safe person with whom you can process the hurt. So what that mean? Well, and here this is advice that sometimes it's not just you go to help other people, it's you who need help too. And here it's just advice for both you work with someone who hurt and you yourself who get hurt. So this is go both ways because a lot of time you think that you are the one who help people all the time. But here sometimes you need help in the same time. So this advice will go both ways to you when you deal with other people and to yourself. And it's just advice to say that not everyone can hear the problem or can give advice for people who have problems. So don't share problem with everyone because a lot of people cannot take it and cannot do the good thing out of it. They better don't know. So be careful who you share with or you talk with. And if the hurt come to you, they always advise you that choose forgiveness instead of fight back or revenge. Forgiveness is always the best thing to do. Do resolve to pray daily for those who hurt you. Now, when people hurt you, you are the leader. And it's always you are the one who forgive first and pray for God to help you to work with that people again. And do own what you need to own, mean that sometimes you have part in the mistake or you are part of the problem. Don't try to deny that it's not my fault. Sometimes we take part in that mistake too. So this is some responsibility that we need to work with. Now, some advice that don't mean that don't blame God. A lot of people say that, God, why you allow that? God, why you did that to me? God have a good reason. We just have to accept it. And another advice is, some people who hurt, leader who hurt shut out all relationship. Don't talk with anyone, don't want to get involved with anything. So they say, don't. You still need friends, and you still need relationship with everyone. So don't shut yourself out, don't cut yourself out of everyone. And don't forget Jesus experienced ministry hurt too. And this is a good advice. Even Jesus suffered too. So who are we? We will suffer too when we're serving God. And you all know very well that as a leader, you suffer even more. So that's the price of leadership, that you have to be prepared for that. And this is also similar advice. Listen well, give away hope, not advice. What's the difference between hope and advice? Advice means that you have step by step, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to, it's not necessarily good hope. It's just advice that you should do, should not do, but they say that should concentrate on hope. Hope comes from God, and we can hope that God will help. It's beyond us, but that's a good thing because we cannot do much, but we can trust that God can do everything. Labor and resource mean that a lot of situations you cannot do it yourself. You need advice, expert, help, get help. Don't try to do everything yourself, a lot of things beyond you. And you should not try to deal with a lot of things that too complicated or beyond your ability. So get advice and get resource mean that refer it to other help that can help the person. Don't try to do everything yourself. Follow up mean that you still care. After a while, you need to check with the person or the situation that anything work out or they need more help or what else you can do for them. That means follow up, mean that you still care. You still keep up with them. So this is mainly advice how you as a church leader or pastor deal with people who hurt or you yourself get hurt. What should you do? So the same advice go both ways. Be patient, always have hope, and should say something and should not say something, but always give people hope. Listen well and offer help and be proactive. This is in general. And some people can get your advice very well, some will not. It's okay. You should be always patient with people. Some understand you, some don't, but it's okay. So there's a lot of things that we can talk, we can discuss more. I want to know that which one is the most difficult for you to do. Keep quiet, shut down, and listen. A lot of us love to talk, and a lot of time we talk too much. So we need to learn how to listen and help people in the different way instead of lecturing them all the time. Okay, I will come to you for your reflection and advice. So how your experience of helping other people who got hurt, successful or failure most of the time? Or people don't want to talk to you?
I think we did the best we could, Ajahn. Listen and listen a lot, but sometimes, like you said, when we open our mouth, even a small mouth, it's gonna be affected somehow. You know, I learned that a lot. It's better to keep quiet. You know, don't say anything. If you say something, it's gonna always hit somebody. Yeah.
Well, that's a good advice. Why I say that? A lot of time people know what the problem and they just try to save face. And a lot of time in our culture, if you are the leader, the head, and you don't take side, you don't say much, you're just there to support. And a lot of time people appreciate you that way.
So I learned that you cannot advise elderly. I mean, people that are older than you. I learned that you cannot advise them. It's like when you see that, you know, when they see somebody and they go, you know, like tell them to the face and really loud with a very angry voice tone. I said, you know, like when you do that, it might offend other people, you know, like when you come with that voice. I know that you meant for the good, but you need to like find common ground that you can, you know, other way, soft, loving, you know, maybe other way to not in front of the whole group. When you lecture somebody, not in front of the whole group and embarrass them and make them feel uncomfortable and make them like things like that. When I saw that and I tried to later on after that, I think it, you know, some couples left the church because of it, you know, and then I have to later on like you know, come like quietly just like mention that to them and they say, hey, for next time if you're gonna lecture somebody, you need to be low tone, not raising your voice, even though you think you're right, you know, but it's gonna hurt somebody. And then they don't take it well. So I said, you know, better not tell them next time. Yeah. What do you think, Ajahn?
Well, a lot of time our culture get involved. It's not just biblical that right or wrong, but you need to respect the culture too. So be sensitive. And I feel that it's always good that you don't take side. And you know that which side right or wrong, you're just there to listen. And a lot of time people will find out themselves. Do you believe that every problem have a solution?
I believe that, Ajahn, every problem has solution.
But why we never found solution for a lot of things?
Like like you said, some of us believer learn how to be humble. Humble is humble and love is the key word to, you know, to bind, you know, to bind us together.
I found out that a lot of time people know the problem and know the solution, but they don't accept it.
Right.
And now when you face that situation, what should you do?
Nothing you can do, Ajahn. You can accept it.
Yeah, sometimes you need time. The perfect timing for everything. Sometimes when you deal with a situation, you have to wait. And then come back to it again. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to do anything. You're still going to do something. Now about yourself, when you get hurt, how you deal with that? Get hurt from church, from leader, and how you deal with your situation.
Pray.
Pray. That's
Yeah.
good. What else you can do besides pray?
ซิกแต่เขาเฉลยอาจารย์
Pray and forgive the person. Well, when I a new believer and I love God so much and I want to do everything what they do I want to do too, you know, but someday they say the thing I do is not right, and they try to kick me out of the church, so I've been hurt so bad. I've been suffer for a while, but good thing I have my wife, so she comfort me all the time, and she said, we're not gonna go anywhere. We stay here until those people know what they do wrong. And then sooner, like a year later, those people, they just quit and go somewhere else.
Well, that's a good thing. I agree with you. You never quit until God told you to do something. You know, when I was an assistant pastor in LA, before I came to start the church in San Rafael, that 43, 44 years ago, I am an assistant pastor. And the pastor there don't agree with me because he have problem with another leader. And I don't take side. I don't take his side or another side. I just neutral. So he doesn't like that. He feel that I'm his team. I supposed to stand by him and kick another pastor leader out. I say no. So what he did to me, he don't allow me to teach, to preach, to do anything in church. He hoped that I will quit. But I know I pray and I will never quit. I will stay. Yes, allow 1 year that pastor himself quit. He left the church.
Well, I can say God knows who's right and wrong. And if we love God, so we trust God. We let God deal with the situation. So we just humble ourselves and we pray and speak to God every day.
Yeah, but another good situation is the one want to solve the situation of problem and things can work out well. Like in many situations in my church here, a lot of time we have problem and we thank God every side come back to talk and solve the problem. So that's the best way. You know that in every situation, there always someone do it something right, someone do something wrong. And I found out that everyone, most of the time, have good intention. But they might do this in different way. And misunderstanding can happen. So I want all of you to look this way. Everyone love God and try to serve God. And problem can happen, differences can happen. You look at the early church, they deal with that all the time. Differences. But Paul will remind them that we have just one church, one body. but different part. We are different, but God put us together for a reason. It's not always easy.
Yes. So in my experience, one thing I learning, when you see the person and you see him in the front, don't see him in the back. So like, you know, a lot of people, everybody they have their issue. Everybody have an issue. And I don't look at for the issue. I look at the person, he's the same thing like me. And I'm not different like him, and he's not gonna different me. So we are the same. So we all here worship God, and we try to get along for everybody. That one thing I've been learning.
Yep, that's right. We're not serving ourselves, we're serving God. So God have to be number one all the time. So I found out that beside love, humility will help a lot. Pride will kill everything. I know in our culture, losing faith is a big thing. But to lose faith for God is worth it. I know in many situations in Asian culture, people fight because to save their faith. And I can understand that because it's everything about the culture. You know that in Thai culture, people can kill one another because they lose faith. But for God, we should do everything for His church and for Him. So it's not our church, it's the church of God. So how you think about try to help someone in your church who hurt right now? It can be a good project. Or even yourself who are hurt right now.
How, Ajahn?
You can plan a step, what you're going to do to get out of that situation and be a good believer again to serve God. A lot of people in a very bad situation, emotionally, spiritually. And you try to find a way out, step by step, by the grace of God. And you can make a good project out of that. How I get out of hell.
Forgive and forget, Ajahn. Leave it up to God, and you know that you're gonna throw a lot of stuff. People gonna throw a lot of stuff at you, so just leave it up to God and just take it day by day, and pray and let the Lord take. Don't keep it in. That's what I always say. Lord, all these things are up to you. Whatever people say, whatever people do, they throw trash at you. So if you're not the one that doing it, you need to be faithful on it. God, just trust in God that God sees all that. Yeah. And I take my strength from God, Ajahn.
Yeah, I agree with Chris in the same sense that you might need help too, and advice. Sometimes it's too much to handle alone.
Just put it in perspective.
Mm.
I don't want to keep bringing back my situation, but it's a good lesson that, as pastor and also pastor and member, it's like a husband and wife. Sometimes we have our own pride, our own interests that not willing to work out what is good for me. What do I want? What is good for me, not good for us. And if we have a situation with the people that always ask a question, what is good for me, not good for us, then it's not much to be worked around. Sometimes we have to let it be until reality hit. I don't know.
Well, I know every situation not the same, and we can use one way to solve everything.
In order for problem to be solved, especially it have to do with two people, both of them need to want to work it out.
Well, that's good point.
If a person want to work it out, the other person doesn't want to work it out, it might be fixed temporarily.
Well, in Christian way, it can be permanent. Even you work itself on your one side. Like forgiveness. You can start and you can forgive even that side don't want it or don't want to do anything with you. You already set yourself free and you already make it right with God. So sometimes when that side doesn't want to work with you, you still can continue and start and do it on your part.
That's true. It's still not as good as both sides willing to forgive and work things out.
Yeah, that the ultimate way both sides can come back to be friends again. That is the ultimate reconciliation. But a lot of time, it's just one side. For example, God tried to reconcile with man, but it's almost a one-side work.
Right.
And God go ahead and did it anyway.
God been chasing us for 4,000 or 5,000 years, try to reconcile.
Yeah. And God don't wait for us. He started and he did it.
But the difference is this, Ajahn.
Yeah.
God is for everlasting. God have a sovereign right. God is never wrong, and he is for everlasting. Time is not an issue for him. For the man, you want to be stubborn and drag your feet out, but you have an expiration date. But God doesn't have expiration date, Ajahn.
Well, I said you can do your side. You don't need to wait another side.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and most of the time we Christians have to start with our own side. Another side might never be ready or want to do anything, but hopefully one day they will come back and do their part. But I think we should not wait because we keep ourselves prisoner that way. We need to set ourselves free by start doing something. Okay, you have any more question on the part of working with hurting people or working with yourself when you hurt? Okay, if you not have anything else, we're going to take a break. I will shut down the Zoom, and in about 5 minutes, you can sign back. Okay? Okay, let's pray first, and we can take a break. Dear God, we thank you for what we have learned about pastor ministry. We thank you that we know we cannot do it ourselves. We need to depend on you every day, all the time. Help us to be your faithful servant. We thank you for everything in Jesus' name. I pray. Amen.